morning. Good morning, Elaine. Hi, Pat. Glad to see I've got the day right this time. Oh, that's good. Oh, you were there yesterday. Oh, blimey. Keen. That's what I hear. Keen. Hi, Carol. Hi, Karen. Hope you've got back to normal again from your visitors and everything. I'm not sure where Julia is on here at the moment. Is Julia on here? I can't see whether she is or not. No. But if Julia does come on, happy birthday, Julia, because it's Julia's birthday today. So we've got quite a few bits and pieces to show you today, and we're going to be doing a different technique, which is called the bokeh technique. So that's the background that I've got on here, which I must admit does not show very well. So there we are, that shows a bit better. And I'm going to be using the Craft Artist pigment inks, which we had before. And some of the new Nellie Snellen stamps. So these are the new Nellie Snellen Christmas stamps, and they seem to be a lot bigger in size than some of the other ones that they've had. So you can see that that is on a 5x7 card, so it's quite a bit bigger. So yeah, various different things to show you. So I've taken first of all, the press cut circles there. And they are, we haven't got them in stock. They will be here soon. But when you've ever had any of these and you've thought to yourself, well, I don't know why they've bothered to do such tiny ones as those, this is the day. This is the day that you're going to be using even those tiniest ones. So the bokeh technique is a technique that's really done in the camera photography section, and it's caused by different filters that you can put on. And you can see possibly these little white dots. And so that is the sort of filter, like a sort of mottled effect that we're going to get. And let us start, first of all, with a piece of card. So I'm going to take those to one side for a minute. So I've got a piece of card here. And so this is a 4.5 by 6.5 to go in our 5x7 card. And I'm going to take some of my Craft Artist inks. Now these are the winter colours. So you've got 8 different ones, blues and one green, but also some mauvey colours. And I'm going to take my blending brush and I'm going to apply that randomly to this particular piece of card. But because I've got some super smooth card here for this one, you could use any card, but I think with super smooth, it is a better way of using it. So I'm going to take one of the blue colours and I'm actually going to put it onto my surface like that, because it's really quite a creamy subsistence there. So I'm just going to put it on randomly and then just rubbing that in. Okay, so I'm just putting it straight on and just joining that onto my surface here, just randomly. Okay, so that's that one. Then I'm going to go for a darker blue, so more of what you might call an Air Force blue. So again, just popping that on and rubbing that in. Okay. Just having a look. Morning, Anne. Oh, you're in the park. Oh, well, it's nice that you bothered to come in and say hello. So that's good. Fancy taking me to the park as well. I could have come to the park. That would have been nice. So now I'm going in with a brighter colour and I'm just filling in. I don't really want any white gaps in this, so I'm just filling in randomly so that we're going to be covering it all. Obviously, you can use all different colours, but these inks, these pigment inks, are really excellent because they're such a creamy consistency that it really works very, very well to be blending all of these in. Obviously, as there is ink, there will be ink on your blending brush, if that's what you're using. You can keep on picking the ink up and moving it around, so because it does stay wet for some while. So if you have got any little white bits there, you can cover with that. Just going to use this other darker purple here, just to fill in these. Whoops, a daisy. Fill in these gaps here. So I'm making sure that the whole piece is absolutely covered. Okay. And then just blending all of that in. And as I said, this is the winter collection of the inks. So we've covered all that over. Just make sure that that is all covered. And because it is going to stay wet for a little while, I'm just going to give it a bit. I don't really want it completely wet now. So I'm just going to give it a bit of a set really with the good old heat gun, just to dry it off a bit. Turn it over so that I don't get it warped at all. You don't have to dry it off, but I do find that because it's going to stay wet for a long time, which is ideal to work with in some ways, it's better like that. Okay, so I'm going to pop that to one side for a second. Now, this could be sacrilege, but on the other hand, if you have bought a packet of these clear templates for the stamping platform, then you do get 10 in a packet. So one of them's not going to go too much amiss. And the reason why I'm using this as opposed to clear acetate is so that I can actually see it. Because the clear acetate, of which you could use, you do tend to be able to lose it because it's absolutely clear and you can't see what you're doing. So I have prepared one earlier, and I know you can't see it very well there. So I will take out my sort of half a dozen of my smallest circle dies, or 5, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. So the six smallest ones, and then just place them onto my piece of acetate. So acetate or the clear, whichever you have got or prefer. No particular way, they can be anywhere they like. The only thing I would say is to make sure that they are spaced enough, because when you're going to be working on some of them in a minute, and you'll see what I mean then, you don't want them too close, because otherwise the ink from one might get onto the other. So you do need to have them fairly spaced apart. So I would now tape them down with a piece of low-tack tape and run that through my machine. Now, if I'm using this one, which is quite a thick piece of acetate, I would make sure that I run it through a couple of times. But if it's just your ordinary acetate, you might not need to. And then obviously you need to take out these little circles when you have done them. Put that carefully onto one side. So here's one I've done earlier, which obviously I've used. It looks like it's got lots of moons as well. And I'll bring this one back in. Okay. So the idea of this is we're now going to apply some of the Eyes Ink pigment ink. So this is a pigment ink as well, but this is another type of pigment ink, and this is the white one. So I'm using a sponge dauber to put it on, because I find that that is a better, you need to get the depth, and you can do that better with a sponge dauber. So all things that you might have. Now, the two things that I would say on here is you do need to move your piece of acetate around, but you don't need to slide it around, because once you've put the first layer on, if you slide it around, you might start to get a bit of contamination, and because the inks will be quite wet. So it's simply a case of just holding the piece of acetate over, and then I'm just going to dab so that it's on the white here, and go round all of the circles. Okay. So you can use any colour as you like, and as I was saying, this time I'm using the winter one. And one of the reasons why I'm using the winter one is I've also got some new cards, the linen cards, and it's in new colours. I've got the blues. So you've got a soft blue, a sky blue, an ultramarine, which is the dark blue, or I say dark blue, it's this blue, and emerald, which is more of a sort of a teal colour. So I've got that onto the Facebook Live stock today because we will be using that. And you can use any of your colour selections that you might like to use. Okay. Oh. So I'm just going to carefully take that off, and you can see I've got some moons on there now. So then I'm going to just move it around, and I'm just going to be careful with it that I don't smudge it too much if I can help. And sometimes I'm going to be putting lighter taps, so I'm not going to be doing such a deep moon. You will see that it will be a bit of a moon or a bit of a circle, but it won't be such a thickness. So if you can see that, I don't know if you can see that you can see that I've put it on there, but it isn't quite so deep this time. Okay, I can see that bit came off, so I don't want that bit off. So then I'm just going to move it around, and I'm going to do some more. So you can keep going over this as much as you like, and you can. The main thing you need is the white ink. So this is the white pigment ink. Well, you don't really get white pigment. You don't get pigment. Oh, blimey, you don't get white ink in anything else but pigment, really. So the only thing is, as I say, just to be a bit careful that you don't keep sliding your thing over. Okay. So you can see that we've got these little circles going on, and I'll just do a couple more there. So just hold that down, and again just dabbing that on. As I say, you could use the brush, but I found that the brush is better for applying the bottom colour and the dabber for this one. Okay, so I think I'm going to leave it at that, but you could go on further if you wish. And it needs, because it's pigment ink again and it's sticky, it needs just a little bit of drying again because I want to stamp on that now. So I'm just going to dry that off. Going to check that that's dried. Just going to pop it into the light, and then I can see whether it's shining back at me. Just a couple of places that are not quite dry. Obviously you're putting quite a thick amount of ink on there, so it does take a little while to dry. So you can see now then, hopefully, that I've got the colours, and it's sort of just a bit like looking through a watercolour type of thing. It's pretty. Yeah, okay. They're pretty colours, aren't they? I have to say that that is my most favourite one, the winter colours. When we were asked on the design team which colours we would like to be sent, we could choose, and that was immediately my favourite one to start off with. So now I'm going to do a bit of stamping on there, and I'm going to bring over my new stamps. So let me show you, as I say, this one, which is called Winter Trees, maybe. Oh, blimey, I don't even remember now. I think it's called Winter Trees. I'm going to take one of my not holy ones and pop that into position so that I can just stamp this and get this in the right position. Let's put a bit of that in there. So they're a nice size, and I think that that's quite handy that they're a nice size. Sometimes they have been a bit small in my opinion, but not this time, so that's good. I'll pick that up, and I'm going to use, to pop it on there, I'm going to use some Memento ink. You will find that it's a little bit awkward sometimes to get some of the stamps to stamp properly. Not some of the stamps, some of the inks rather, the black inks, to stamp properly onto the pigment inks. So you do need to make sure that it's nice and dry. And I think I've covered that. So let's pop that down. I think I'll have to go a second time. There's a lot of detail in this stamp. Pretty, isn't it, though? And I think, I mean, you could add some of the darker colours to the outside here and really bring it out. So there's lots that you can do with these. So let's just stamp that once more. Beauty of the stamping platform, that you can put some more colour on there. So that really shows now. So then I'm going to take that one off and I'm going to pop on a sentiment. Move that. Pop on a sentiment that I had from the special Christmas Moments set, which says, "This Christmas we wish you the very best." So just stamp that one up. Put that on, and that's perfect. Okay. So let's put the ink on the top of there. So then I've already cut out some of the ultramarine card, which, as I said, is the darkest blue in the blue powders that we blue cardstock that we are now having in stock. So I've got all of the card back in stock now. The Christmas foliage, beautiful new colours, which is the two mauves and things. So yeah, really pretty. I'm just going to pop that onto there. Now, before I say that that's done, just going to get my white gel pen. You could put glitter on here. The only trouble is with the glitter is that you don't want it to, and it could attach itself to some of these if they're still wet. So again, if you want to go back to doing your card, you could do it a little bit later on. But that's entirely up to you. So I'm just putting a few little dots of white as if it's the snow, just randomly. So there's 4 stamps in the new, well, there's lots of stamps actually, but the 4 stamps in the new Nellie Snellen at the moment of the scenes. And I will be doing some more of those at the weekend. But this one is just a bit different and really showing you the technique of the colouring, because I know a lot of people have purchased the inks and would really like to get going with them. They are all on their way to you. So anyone that purchased over the weekend before last, as I was away, hold on a second, that doesn't want to work properly. They are all on their way to you, so you will soon be able to have a go at exactly the technique that we're talking about here. So you can go on and do that a bit further if you like, but basically that's your base there. And then let's get myself a 5x7 card, and that's going to sit onto there like that. Okay, so it's a really pretty technique. It's lovely with different colours, but today we're in the blue and the mauve mood. So I'm just going to very carefully turn that so that I can press properly from the other side. Okay, so there we are, your bouquet, spelt B-O-K-E-H, I think, but pronounced as in a bouquet of flowers technique. So any colours at the background, but you do need a white colour to give you this sort of little mottled effect. Let me again pick it up that way and then you can see it a bit better. Oh, post has been to you, that's good. Glad you got your brushes. Now you'll have to play. Yeah, some really nice techniques. Now let me show you some of the other stamps that we've got coming up. Hold on. You can't see it very well, can you? That's the scene, a big scene, and a card, big card this time. And then you've got the river scene, which is again quite a big card there for you. And I've stamped out this one, very unusual, this one. I haven't done anything with it yet, but isn't that unusual? It's called a vintage wintry scene. I've got some odd names, but it's almost like a 3D, and I think that would be really lovely if you did some eyes ink sprays at the background and just literally stamp that on the top. But you could make that into a vintage look with a vintage sepia ink or all sorts. So there's lots of different things there. It looks like you might have a Hermes delivery coming from me, June. Yeah. So that's all the things. As I said, new coloured card on there. Still a few inks left. Make sure that you get your inks because they are superb to work with. So I will not be here on Friday for the Fancy Fold Friday. So you have still got reprieve yet again for one more week. Can you do it with eyes ink pads? You can do it with eyes ink pads for the background, but you need to really use the dye pads rather than the pigment because you need something that blends well. So you could use your distress inks and you could use your dye-based inks, but obviously that is an eyes ink pigment ink for the white top there. Okay. So I'm not here on Friday, but I will be here on Sunday. So I'll be here for the Sunday special in the morning at 11 o'clock. But also we've got the first of the Christmas launches with the new John Lockwood range of products, which launched at 6 o'clock on Hochanda. And I just think that you're going to love them. If you think that you've got as many poinsettias as one could have, well, you haven't got this one and you need it. But there's also some beautiful twigs and angels and oh, it's lovely. So looking forward to showing you that, but that's not until Sunday evening. But Sunday morning, I will be here live at 11 o'clock and you'll be able to see what I've got in store for you then. Okay, so I hope you have a good rest of the day. Take care, keep safe, and thank you very much for joining me. I'll see you on Sunday morning. Take care then. Bye.